necessary in 30 days to recite a bracha. At the Yotzer Eschem Bedin, I will say the bracha and we might see everybody say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher Yotzer Eschem Bedin b'dov v'zon v'chilkel Eschem Bedin v'heimis Eschem Bedin v'yedei ha'mizbar kudam Bedin v'wasin lach Eschem l'kayim Eschem Bedin Baruch atah Adonai mechayei ha'meisim Atagi for the Olam Adonai mechayei meisim Atarav lo'ishia mechal k'chayim v'chesed mechayei meisim v'rabim rabim semech neivim v'mechvelim matir hasuim v'mechayim emunasoi li sheinei afor micha b'chabal dvor semidar alav kol meisim mechayim matzliach yeshua v'nemat olav yais meisim Gathered here to give the Kavod Ha'acharayim final honor to Leah Bas Noah, affectionately known to all of us as Lucy, Gimme, Mommy, beloved wife, Jerry Gibad L'chaim Toivin, Tzaddik, who took care of her for so many years. Beloved mother, to Charlotte and Shalom, to Judy and Shia, Icky and Dahlia, to Renee and Jeffrey. Beloved grandmother to so many, Kanai Nahara. Beloved great-grandmother. Today is the 24th day of Tishrei, it's Isru Chag. Chazal guide us and they tell us we cannot intensify the loss that we feel, though it's great. But we have the opportunity to learn lessons of life. And there are so many lessons to be learned. The great reveal in and of itself of today, of Isru Chag, the great simcha and joy that Lucy brought everybody, anyone who came into contact with her, is evident of the very day of her Pura. And that simcha that she gives us. It's a modified service today. The family will speak. And then, after the family speaks, we'll fill the kever. And then after filling the kever, there'll be one Michtam LaDavid, one Mizmor that's said, and a short mourner's Kaddish, and then a Shura as we depart. Before we have the speeches, perhaps appropriate for the woman that she was and as she will be remembered, let's sing together one kapitel, Eishes Chayil, And as we do, think of all of those special attributes that were hers, of valor, of gura, of commitment, of devotion, of love, of care.
Ishes chayil miyimsa, berachot minini nichra, levala, b'shalom yachzor.
Gimme!
Tov elora, kol yemei chayeho, darsho temer vishtim, Betas bechefetz kapeho, Isaac aniya socher, Mimerchak tavi lachma, Batakom be'od laila, Badinin terech b'beisa b'choklin aroseha, Zamem asade batikaveyu, Mipri kapeh natakorem, Chagra v'yos masneha, Tamis roaseha, Tama kito sachra, Lo yife balayla neira, Yehashilcha batishar, V'chavet u'balech, Kama varsa liani, V'yadeha shilcha li'edu, Sir li'vesa mishalek, Kiko vesa lavu shanim, Maravadim Lasalam, Shekar Haman Labusha, Yoda Basharim Bala, Vashito, Zikne Aretz, Sadinas Zavadim Kar, Chagar Nasna Laknani, Ozvi Hada Labusha, Vadis Makliyom Acharon, Yavos Vasachma, Soras
Lucy's son, Icky.
There are umbrellas if anybody needs umbrellas.
Before I begin, thank you everyone for being here. Hashem is still weeping. Before I start, I want to take just 1 minute to recognize one of my real-life heroes. He doesn't wear a cape. He doesn't wear a mask. He does at times wear this funky hat. Jerry Barr, you are my hero. You made our mother's life rich with purpose and meaning and kindness and love these so many years. We will never be able to thank you for what you have done for her, for what you have done for us, and how you make, and Bezrat Hashem forever will make all of our lives rich with purpose and meaning and kindness and love. And to Angelica, my mother's loving caretaker, mi mama te quiero mucho. Eres especial. Muchísimas gracias por todo. As Rabbi Schwartz noted, we are not supposed to give Hespedim today. So instead, I wrote a letter to my mother, and I invite you all to listen in. Mommy, I'm sorry that I have my back to you. I have 3 things that I want to say to you today. I have said them all to you before in one way or another. And I say this to you now as you depart for the Olam HaEmes, for the world to come. The first and most important thing that I want you to know from me is that I love you. Pure and simple. Nothing bigger or smaller than that. I love you. How could I not? You were a wonderful mother to us and a wonderful person. And sometimes I would think that with all that life threw at you, how is it conceivable that you could have been so wonderful? Our lives, yours, mine, my sisters, were never simple. You were a child of the Holocaust. You never thought of yourself that way, but we knew better. Whenever as kids we would throw food on the floor, and that did happen upon occasion, you would start to cry uncontrollable tears. As some subconscious part of you remembered your first years in the labor camp of Poland and Russia, where you stayed in the children's barracks down the road from your mother, our dear Bobby Bella, until you were 3 or 4. You flashed back to when Bobby Bella would have to give up her meager potato peel so that you, her little baby, could have food to eat and milk to drink. I didn't quite understand then why you would cry at lost food, Mommy, but I do now. But your accent wasn't Polish or Russian. It was Australian. Or as you like to put it, the Queen's English. You picked up the Queen's English after the war when Bobby Bella and Zayda Noyev could only get a visa to go to Sydney. And our friends would comment, how funny you sounded. And I took pride in how you would say words like castle or Arthur. And it was Arthur or Yumek or Avraham, our father who lies right here, who you met when you and your parents eventually made their way around the world to New York, where you found each other in Brooklyn College. You fell in love, and as far as I'm concerned, had a fairy tale romance. Until it wasn't. And he passed away when you were only 42, and we were just kids. But you did not, would not, could not let him or us down. And your maternal instincts to protect and care for and love for your children went into overdrive. You took over his textile business and ran it for years, and when that no longer succeeded, you turned it into a furniture design business, and all along kept on going to school, to FIT, to Parsons School of Design and elsewhere, to keep educating yourself and making yourself a better artist, designer, and person. And yes, our lives were tough then. But you weren't just a mother to us. You got to become both parents, provider, and source of inspiration, and you did it, as you always did, Mommy, with flair. You spent every day of your life in those years figuring out different ways how you were going to support us financially and emotionally on your own. Being an adult now, myself, with grown-up worries and fears, I cannot know how you did what you did. Those early years after Daddy died were very hard for all of us. All I could do then was give you a hug and tell you that it would all be okay. Not then and maybe not soon, but one day it would be. And in all that, Mommy, you were my everything. I loved you, and I needed you, and couldn't live without you. And guess what, Mommy? Even though I now have my own home and my own family, and you are no longer here, I still love you, and I still need you. And then we all grew up. And we started to leave the house and have families of our own. And then, in addition to everything else, you became a grandmother and later a great-grandmother as well. And all of your energies were then directed not just to us, to your children, but to your children's children. And you lit up our lives. And soon enough, Jerry came into the picture, and you lit up his life. And that of the family that he had already built before he met you. In the last 10 years or so, the challenges you would face came from your own body. You battled Parkinson's, had spinal surgery, and saw your blood pressure go up and down like a yo-yo. But even with all of that, you had trouble walking, though that never stopped you from dancing. You had great difficulty speaking, but that never stopped you from caring and expressing yourself. At times you couldn't move your hands, but that never stopped you from painting and creating. You couldn't tell a joke. Well, actually, you could never really tell a joke, but that didn't stop you from laughing. No matter the trials, Mommy, that you encountered in your life, and there were many, you faced them all with grace and charm and dignity. And I hope that all of your many progenies that are here and around the world, wherever you are, will integrate the life that you lived. And remember that no matter what, no matter how low things may feel sometimes, I'm saying this to everyone here and everyone there, they should try to be like Gimme. Try to be like my mom and do the best that you can do to just keep on going in spite of it all. And then last week, you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided that it was time to stop going on, and it is time to rest. In your sleep on Tuesday night, you faded into unconsciousness, but you were there for us for just a few days longer. You will be happy to know, Mommy, that lying there in your hospital bed, you looked beautiful. Your makeup from the sukkah party of the night before at Rivka's house stayed on. And notwithstanding the presence of the breath-sustaining ventilator, you were so pretty as you rested there peacefully. And even in those last few moments, with words unable to come out of your mouth any longer, you were still modeling for us, your next generations, how we should be. You knew, you just knew, didn't you, that you would bring together me and Charlotte and Judy and Rivka to stand by you. Sisters and a brother who themselves were torn apart by life's curveballs would come together to be with you, to sing to you, to show our love to you. Yardena, your granddaughter, my daughter, who was contemplating the fact that you finally left the earth on Shmini Atzeret, part of the long Chag of Sukkot, where we are commanded to be happy. She said to me yesterday, maybe Gimme wanted to go on this day because she wanted to make sure that we are happy. I hope, Mommy, that we can take all of your happiness and your joy and your kind nature and your joie de vivre, always make it a part of our lives. A dear friend from long ago, Debbie Dombeck-Rubin, wrote to my niece Michal a message last night when the word about you came to Eretz Yisrael, and she said, I remember Lucy as a vibrant, full of life young woman who had a passion for life and in everything that she did, especially her family. Your family was one of the first to welcome us to Elizabeth with open arms, which was incredibly needed, and they became our second family. And Debbie goes on that she grew up in our home, and she knew that she was always welcomed. And she says, I can still hear your grandmother, Yuma, and great-grandmother, meaning Bobby Bella's voices in my head, and their love in my heart and neshama. She says, the older I get, the more I learn to appreciate all the love and kindness that they showed us. And the more I can appreciate your incredible positive strength. Debbie says she raised a young family alone for many years and had so many challenges. that she never thought of you as sad or depressed. You were always to them warm and loving. If I was unclear before, Mommy, or if my message ever got lost in the chaos, let me state this affirmatively so that you know it's truth now and always. And I don't want you to ever doubt for a second that our love for you, all of us, our mother, is deep, strong, and eternal for who you were and for who you made us to be. The second thing I want to say to you, Mommy, is thank you. Thank you for everything that you have given me from the moment I took my first breath. Thank you for doing what mommies do for little babies. You gave birth to me. You fed me, changed me, clothed me. You may find this hard to believe, but I remember well you tucking me into bed at night at 1010 Coolidge Road in the yellow, orange, green, and white room that you painted for me. Thank you for picking me up from school when I was sick. Thank you for picking me up from school on my first day of nursery with a toy clock that I will never forget. Thank you for making my brown velvet suit. Thank you for teaching me how to ride a bike. That used blue bike with the banana seat that you bought for $20 from the Reels next door. Thank you for the tire swing that hung from the tree over the garage. Thank you for making me a bar mitzvah celebration which you had to do alone. Thank you for the basketball hoop in the backyard, and thank you for the train set which I loved, and thank you for all the dogs we had growing up, and thank you for helping me make my giant Subway poster in 11th grade so that I could win school president. And thank you for trips to the Caribbean Hotel, Grossinger's, Disney World, and elsewhere. Thank you for helping me to mend skinned knees and sprained arms and broken hearts. Thank you for all of those late night visits to the Memorial General Emergency Room and Shore's Pharmacy. And thank you, Mommy, for showing me what a marriage and a relationship between a husband and a wife is supposed to look like. From my teen years on, I always looked to model my own relationship after what I saw in my own home between you and Daddy. Thank you for being both of our parents wrapped up in one after June 13th, 1981. Thank you for being the role model of how a human being should be in this world. I still don't know anyone who is as kind and friendly as you were to everyone you ever met, friend and stranger alike. I don't know anyone who hasn't instantly fallen for your charming ways as soon as they got to know you. Thank you for being such a wonderful grandparent. I always feel a little cheated, given my relatively late marriage, that my children only got a glimmer of the Wonder Woman that you used to be for the rest of your Club, for your grandchildren. I cherish so dearly the image of you standing on the ladder in your Dana and Kayla's room at 175 West 79th Street, painting white clouds on their ceiling. Our children may not have had you very long in full bond, but they always knew that they had you in the fullness of your heart and soul. There's one more thing I need to say, Mommy. I am sorry. I am sorry if I ever hurt you in any way, at any phase of my life, or gave you angst or strife. I am sure that I did. I am also sure that if I did, you forgave me, because that is who you were. And let's face it, your zin could do no wrong. I am sorry if I didn't call enough, or if when I did, I was sometimes not fully there. I look at your Dana and Kayla and Abby and Bailey, and I know that no matter what they do or don't do, I will love them fully, truly, and forever. And I know that you loved me the same way, no matter what I did or didn't do, and no matter who or what I've become. But I hope that I have made you proud of me, proud to be my mother, because so much of what I am is because of who you and Daddy are and were, and I want to live up to the good name that you have made for yourselves on this earth. Ima Shali, Lech Shalom, Bishalom. Forever I will always be your loving son.
Lucy's grandson, Mordechai Retches.
When I think about my Gimme, I'm always going to remember how she never rested or settled when it came to all of her grandkids or great-grandkids. And I don't want to think about what the future is going to be like, because just not having Gimme in my life and being a constant presence in my life and loving me is just too hard to think about. So what I want to look at is the memories and try to remember and cherish these feelings that I have, and just, I think everyone could just feel that. Whenever Gimme and Jerry would come to our house for Shabbos, I always remember as a little kid feeling so excited and ready. Whenever they would come and everyone would say around the house, Gimme and Jerry are here, and Gimme and Jerry are here, and I would run downstairs. I would run outside and greet Gimme, and I would give her a big hug, and I would see her, I'd smell her perfume, and just feel so excited that she was coming for Shabbos, and I knew it would be such a nice Shabbos because she was bringing us presents and gingerbread cookies and everything she would bring us. And even if she didn't have anything on the way from Philadelphia, she would stop at a Walgreens or a Rite Aid or some pharmacy somewhere, pick up some random toys. I don't even know what those were, but we all loved them. And those Shabbosim were always so nice, and we would sit in the afternoon and play game after game of Rummy Cue with her. And we would eat Rice Krispie treats the whole Shabbos. We loved those. And then, and even if I was losing in the game, and she would show me where my places would go, where my pieces can go, and she would let me win, and then she would act like I won, even she would act like she won. She was so happy because even though she lost, she was just happy to help me and show me where to go, what to do. And then after Shabbos, or even a 3-day yontif, or any kind of yontif where people would come, it'd be a whole house full of people. The sink would be full of dirty dishes, and Gimme would be sitting there after yontif and just washing all the dishes and doing it herself, even in her old age. And then if she was sick, and she would stand and clean and wash everything herself, and we'd tell her we have a dishwasher that can do it, we don't need her to do it, but she would insist on cleaning everything and getting the broom out and sweeping everything. And she did. She just said she had to do that because she wouldn't settle until everything was the way she liked it, and the way she would be happy. And the same thing applied to her grandkids, because I remember days when I would go to their apartment in Baltimore, and I would just go visit her or bring them something. I would sit with her, and even when she would be having a bad day, she would light up when I would walk in and just give me the time of day. And she would tell Angelica to get her wheelchair. She's going outside, even if she wasn't in a good mood or wasn't happy. And I would tell her about my basketball games, and she would just act interested, even though I know she didn't know what was going on. She just didn't. She would always act interested. And when we go down a Chalamite trip, and we would just go to the gift shop afterwards and pick up just random toys, and it didn't matter how much it costed or what it was. I can tell her I wanted to buy the garbage can, she would buy it because she just knew she wanted to make us happy, and it didn't matter. And I'm always gonna hold on to and cherish the pictures she drew us for our birthdays every year. And whatever we requested she would draw for us. And I still have those pictures, and I gotta keep them. And she just was always so caring and loving for everyone. Even one of my science teachers moved into our building once, and I didn't like this teacher really, but somehow she got along with him, and he would always tell me how special of a person Gimme was, and how special of a woman she was, and how she always greeted him and talked to him, and somehow she got along with him. I don't know. She was just great. I just hope that we can all remember and one day talk to our kids the same way our parents talk to us about their grandparents and their parents, and we can just tell our kids all the great stories and memories we have of Gimme, and just have those good feelings and always remember her in such a good way, and just feel good about Gimme. And I love you, Gimme, and I'm gonna miss you. I love you.
Lucy's son-in-law, Shia Franklin.
Tisha B'Av, we lay in Megillas Eicha. Megillas Eicha starts off with the words Eicha Yashva Badad Ha'ir Abasi Haisa Kalamana. Alas, she sits in solitude. The city that was great has become a widow. Megillas Eicha compares the Churban Beis HaMikdash to an almana, a widow. Your Churban started in 1981, the loss of your dear husband. As Megillas Eicha testifies, the terrible plight of being an almana, a widow, which would last for approximately 20 years. You then met up with Jerry, a malach min hashamayim, and you were married with the hope that the misery of being a widow would be behind you. Unfortunately, Hashem had other plans for you, and it did not take long after you married that you took ill. Your health deteriorated. A young, energetic person who can do almost anything to have turned into an old, frail, sick lady. Your life was a difficult life. Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem to explain to him why it is what that tzaddik v'ralai. We know the answer to Moshe Rabbeinu's question. Hashem punishes tzaddikim, in this case tzidkaniyos, in this world, ba'olam hazeh, for minor infractions. So they go up in Shemayim with a pure and clean neshama. Lucy, or Gimme, as you were so affectionately known by your grandchildren. Your neshama, we know, is here. You can see and hear everything that's happening right now. Look around you. Look at everybody that's here. Look at your children, your grandchildren. Baruch Hashem, b'li ayin hara. You have many grandchildren and great-grandchildren who had this. You had the schus to know and watch them grow up. We know that if somebody sees 3 dairas, 3 generations, the legacy will continue forever. Rest assured that the legacy that you are leaving over will be sending up schus and packages to your neshama, and your neshama will continue to have an aliyah because of the hard work and correct path in life which you have instilled in your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We know Moshe Rabbeinu never said the words Baruch Shem Kavod Nachosei L'Olam V'ad. However, when Yaakov Avinu was assured that all his children have taken the correct path in life, the path of Torah, Yaakov Avinu said Baruch Shem Kavod Nachosei L'Olam V'ad. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was in Shemayim, while he never said the words, he heard the words from the Malachim. You are now with the Malachim, and when you hear them say the words, Baruch Shem Kavod Nachosei L'Olam V'ad, you can proudly look down at the family you left behind in this world and say together with the Malachim, Baruch Shem Kavod Nachosei L'Olam V'ad. You are now going before the Kisei HaKavod with a pure and clean neshama after all the suffering that you endured your entire lifetime. And you should be a Melis Yeship for all your family, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren at Bias Gael. I'd like to ask Mechila for anything I or Judy or anyone from any family has done, for anything we have said, for anything that we should have done and didn't do. I'd be remiss if on behalf of the family and the entire family, if I didn't thank Jerry for all that he has done, all that he has endured. As I said previously, Jerry, you are a malach min hashamayim, and Hashem will repay you, kefel keflayim, for all you have done. We can't thank you enough. Again, Gimme, you should be a Melis Yeshit for the family and for all Klal Yisrael.
A good Malitosher.
Amen.
Lucy's grandson, Avrami Retches.
So I've just been trying to gather my thoughts and think of what to say for Gimme. Many things come to mind, so here's my attempt at trying to sum up just part of what I feel I want to share about Gimme. When thinking of who in the Torah reminds me the most of Gimme, I think of Bezalel. He was the master craftsman who, by using his God-given skills, built a beautiful house for Hashem. The pasuk says, "Va'amaleo so ruach Elokim." Hashem filled him with a special godly spirit to help him accomplish what he needed for the building of the Mishkan. I don't know what that exactly means, but I feel that Gimme had in her this ruach Elokim. This special artist's power that allowed her to always want to make something, to create, to build. Even when she was unwell, she loved to paint and use her artistic talents. I'm also thinking of her beautiful painting of the Beis HaMikdash that she did for the shul in Philadelphia that we all have copies of hanging in our homes. Like Bezalel, she in her own way used her Ruach Elokim to bring honor to Hashem's house. Gimme had this ability to take the average and make it beautiful. To take raw materials and make it into something magnificent. When we'd see just a catalog or an advertisement, she'd see things to cut out and glue together for a collage. She'd see a nice view and then want to sketch it. She'd see an archway in Masada and be inspired to paint a mural on the wall of her grandson's bedroom. And if her grandson liked animals, then it would be a mural of an African safari scene. I used to brag to my friends as a kid saying, "My Gimme is an artist." I thought that was the coolest thing. I would show them the wall in my parents' house that went up the steps and say to them, "See, doesn't this look like real marble, but it's really paint, and my Gimme did it." We have a video of, I think, either Yaakov or Yehuda holding a dollar store sticky rubber lizard toy that the tail broke off, and he was like, "We have to ask Gimme to sew it back on." It just made sense to us that Gimme can fix anything. I have such clear memories of Gimme on a Sunday morning at our kitchen table with newspapers spread out and doing a painting arts and crafts project with one of the kids. She'd try to teach us how to paint, and we'd try to follow what she'd be doing. Obviously hers came out much better than ours, but she always would tell us how beautiful it was and how much she loved it. Gimme has this sense of simplicity. She didn't need big and shiny. She was happy with the little things. A game of rummy cub with her grandkids or painting personalized birthday cards for us were the things that brought her joy. When I was a kid, I would put my hair under my yarmulke and she would give the best reaction. She thought I looked so handsome. That simple little thing made her so happy. What made her the most happy was her grandkids. She would love spending time with us and taking care of us, making spare ribs and matzah brei for us. She'd always tell me how she used to walk Tova and I to the Leibadidi and take us for ice cream. Memories like that, and others of spending time with each and every one of us, is what would literally carry her through when she was having her worst days. What we should learn from Gimme is to see the beauty in everything. In our busy lives where we're running here, hustling there, just chugging our way through the daily grind, we have to remember to slow down, take a breath, and cherish the little things. Time spent with family and the beautiful wonders of Hashem's world. These are the things that I feel Gimme lived with. The little things like gift shop Beanie Babies and Mario Lanza. She knew what made her happy and she appreciated them for all it was worth. They weren't flashy or fancy. They were simple. But that simplicity is what made her such a beautiful person. A person who we love and will never forget. I want to thank you, Gimme, for all the memories and the good times. I love you so much. Thank you.
Lucy's son-in-law, Jeffrey Regis.
When I got engaged to Rivka and asked my new future mother-in-law what I should call her, she just said to me, "Call me Lucy." I took that as she was not planning on being an overbearing, opinionated, typical mother-in-law, but she wanted to be my friend. And Gimme was everyone's friend. Once you met Gimme, she left an impression on you that made you want to be her friend. I am very happy that I have many videos of Gimme at her best, when she was an artist, a builder, a fixer, a seamstress, a painter, a stroller walker, and a grandmother who would run to do anything for her children or grandchildren. Never have I met a more selfless person in my life. Anything she had was yours if she knew you wanted it. My kids would go to her home and see treasure after treasure and say, "Oh, Gimme, I like this tchotchke." And she would say, "Take it, it's yours, you could have it." Gimme had a passion for life and a natural elegance that was all her own. She could pull off any jewelry, hat, or outfit that would be a fashion disaster on anyone else. As I stand here in front of Rivka's father, I am very much aware of the tzaddik that he was. Rivka was showing me some letters that her father wrote to her in 1980 when she was a little girl spending a summer in Israel with Gimme and her siblings. And I quote, "Be good to Mommy, Judy, Yitzchak, and Charlotte." I am mentioning this remark to everybody so as to create in our family a very friendly atmosphere. And that was so important to Gimme also. It always made her so happy when all of her children were together. These past few days were a gift for her neshama, to see all of her children coming together as one, to be with her during her final days. We all need to remember that important lesson. Thank you, Gimme, for being a best friend and a sister to my mother. She loved you so much and considered it such an honor and a zechus to be a part of your life. Gimme had definitely had some difficult chapters in her life, and I must mention how lucky she was to meet another tzaddik named Jerry. We love you so much, Jerry, and thank you so much for everything you have done for our Gimme. Tova told us she can't think of one time that Gimme ever raised her voice or said anything hurtful to her entire life. That was Gimme. When we told our children to write a note to Gimme that we would read in the hospital, this is what my son Yaakov wrote. "Dear Gimme, I will never be the same person now without having you to make me feel as special and loved the way you always did. I will never forget all the games we played and the memories we made throughout my life. All the gifts you have so lovingly got me in the past, I will treasure dearly. You were always so kind and sweet and loving, even if it wasn't easy for you. You are a role model to me and to everyone who was ever lucky enough to meet you. I will always think of the times we spent and remember the world's only and best Gimme." I loved Gimme unconditionally. In my eyes, she could do no wrong. From the first day I met her, she always made me feel loved and special, and I will never forget that, Gimme. Thank you, Gimme, for making me and my family feel that way. Every Friday night, we will continue to think of you when we sing Eishes Chayil. I don't think it's a mistake that Chaim chose to sing that. You beamed every time I pointed to you as I sang, "Gimme lasu tov v'lo ra kol yemei chayeha." I love you, Gimme, and as I promised you, I will always take care of my Rivka, your Punchinella.
Added. If I could just say something just as an admirer from the outside. Lavan had two daughters. Shem HaGedolah Leah. And Chazal say that Shem HaGedolah Leah was, what was she Gedolah? She was Gedolah because Matneiseha Gedolah. She gave the gift of Kahuna and Malchus to Klal Yisrael. Leah Bas Noach. He even gave you. You are a gift of a Malchus There's no greater testimony of somebody's life. We're not defined by the challenges, but we're defined by how we respond to the challenges. And there's no greater testimony than saying such a beautiful thing. If the family could step forward and begin to fill this cup.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm just trying.
As Yisru Chag, there's no Kel Mole. In place of Kel Mole, we recite one kapitel Tila Michtav David. I'll recite it. You can repeat it along with me. That'll be followed by Kaddish Yosem, which Iki will recite. Michtam LeDavid. Shamreini El Ki Chasisi Boch. Amart Ladonoi. Adonoi Ato. Toivoso Bal Alecho. L'Kedoshim Asher Ba'aretz Hema. Va'adire Kol Chefzi Bum. Yirbu Atzvosam. Acher Maharu. Val Osich Nischehem Midam. Uval Esa Es Shemosam. Al Sefasa. Adonai Menas Chelki. V'kaisi. Ata Toimech Garoli. Chavolim Nafluli Vani'imim. Af Nachlas Shofra Olah. Avarech Es Adonai Asher Ya'atzoni. Af Leilais Yisruni Kil Yosai. Shivisi Adonai Lenegdi Soni. Himi Mini Baal Emo. Lachain Samach Libi. V'yogel Kavodi. Af Besari Yishkon Loveta. Ki lo Sazov Nafshi Lishol. Lo Sitain Chasi Decha. Their Os Shachas. Todi Eini Orech Chayim. Sova Samachos Es Ponecha. Neimos Bi Mincha. That's it. Kaddish.
Yiskadal Yiskadash Shmei Rabba.
Amen.
Yom Adi Brach Yerushalayim Yom Lich Malchusay. Chai Echad Yom Echad V'chayei L'chol Beis Yisrael. V'Agalau V'Zman Karib V'Imru Amen.
Amen. Yeh Shmei Rabba Varach Le'olam Omer Maya.
Shmei Rabba V'Varach Le'olam U'Yomei U'Maya. Yisparach V'Yishtabach V'Yispar V'Yisramam Vishnaseh, Visadar, Visaleh, Visalal, Shmei Dekucha, Brichu, Elam, in Kol Berchasav, Shirasav, Tishpachasav, Nechamasav, Namiran, Vialma, Vimru, Amen.
Amen.
Hey, Shalom Rabba Min Shemaya, Chaim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Seh Shalom B'mramav, Huya Seh Shalom, Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen.
Amen.
This concludes the service. Ladies and gentlemen, if we could set up a shura to be menachem the avelim over here to my left. If men can be on the right towards the wall, and women can be on the left side where the van is, the mourners will walk in between and move menachem.
Come here, handsome. It's not real here. Just